friends, Ian McDonald, who joined us last. Hey, what's going on, Ian?
Everything's well. Can't really complain. I'm still here.
Yeah. It's been about a year later. About a year ago, you jumped on the phone with Rich and myself. Rich is in transit right now, and we talked about NRA. We talked about being, an African American NRA card carrying member.
No longer a card carrying.
No longer a card carrying member.
No, sir.
All right, we'll just get into this.
I have my reasons for that, but I maintain that for purposes of just utilizing the discounts that are provided, because the NRA doesn't actually know if I got in trouble. So that's Philando. They do nothing for you. But anyway, that's a whole other issue.
Nah, it totally is another issue. So, tell me one of the reasons why you moved on from being the card-carrying member, because it seemed like at one point, Las Vegas happened, and then all of a sudden, all these smaller companies, I don't know if they became righteous, or it was the thing to do to say, hey, if you're an NRA member, you no longer get discounts at yada yada yada, store.
Well, I mean, okay. This is a very, very, very broad topic, and a lot of things have to come into play. But the NRA itself, I do fully support the Second Amendment, rights for people, that you should be able to bear arms. I think that's a no-brainer. But I think that a lot of people actually are on it for other reasons, as opposed to saying, hey, you should be able to protect yourself, you should be able to defend yourself. There's some people on there just for mercenary reasons. I mean, mercenary, I guess that's a very, very, very shady term, but when for purpose, other purposes other than actually just protecting one's rights, like, for monetary gain. A lot of these things are done purely out of monetary gain, but the concern really isn't the rights of the citizens to protect themselves. So that's the reason why I'm no longer an NRA advocate, because they're very capricious about their support. If you support one guy's Second Amendment right, why shouldn't you support another guy's Second Amendment right? And if you do that, then it's just kind of disenchanting to be a member of an organization that you don't think will actually protect your rights.
So
protect somebody else's rights.
Ian, I got to jump in here. When you say one guy, do you mean one race? Do you mean?
Well, for lack of a better word, yeah, I guess you could say that. I'm trying to actually be right, because when you throw the race card out there, then people, he's using the race card. No, I'm not using the race card. I'm just saying.
I don't think you're using a race card. It's just we're just being real here.
Because you're a logically thinking person. Most of America is not logically thinking; they're emotionally driven. So again, like Philando Castillo was a CCW person. He had his concealed carrying permit, and the NRA did absolutely nothing to say, hey, listen, you officers violated somebody who was legally, of course, administering his second Amendment right. They said absolutely nothing about it. And Philando Castillo happens to be, I guess, a man of African American descent. But then you have the situation with Zimmerman. He actually killed somebody, and they stood up. No, he has the right to do this. So it's kind of very, it's very disenchanting to say, hey, I'm paying dues to an organization that's supposed to support my rights. But then I'm like, if something happens, will they actually stand up for me? Because they didn't stand up for the guy that looked like me. You know, so that's my thing. You know, so that was just purely a logical choice by me. It had absolutely nothing to do with emotional intent. It's just logic because I saw what happened, and I'm like, more than likely that will be the case for me also. So I'm no longer a card carrying member
Is your house a sauna in summer? Has your AC lost its cool? Then say hello to Seal. We use HVAC, insulation, and smart home tech to make your house comfortable, healthy, and up to 3 times more energy efficient. Best of all, we cover your upfront costs. Start fresh this summer with one of today's most innovative companies. Visit seal.com to see if your house qualifies.
Hey, Ian, I want to let you know Rich has joined this call also.
Rich, how are you, good sir?
Good, Ian. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
I just caught in the last maybe 2 minutes of the conversation. I myself am still a NRA card carrying member, but I totally understand what you're saying and the viewpoint.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Especially with Philando Castile, there should have been. You would have expected a little more vocal.
A little more pushback from them, right?
A little something, exactly. A little more than what we got. I'm sure.
A little more than a slight blur on page 12. You know.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because again, we have to look at this on a whole, where a violation of one person's right is a violation of everybody's rights. It's a threat to everybody's right because, you know, just because they haven't gotten around to you yet doesn't mean that they're not planning to get around to you.
No, I agree. And my thought behind it, you know, and still maintaining the membership, is that because they are at least still out there to enforce the Second Amendment for everyone, you know. So it's a tough call. I totally agree.
Great. You know, I just want to be clear. That was my choice.
Oh yeah.
And I respect every and anybody's choice or position if they still wanted to be in support because there is usefulness in them.
Right.
It's just my concern is what is the motivation for the usefulness?
Right.
What is the motivation for it? Is your motivation to ensure our Second Amendment rights, or are you there as an advocate for Springfield Armory, etc.? You know that's what's going on here.
True.
That's just my concern.
The problem comes not so much when enforcing or promoting an individual's rights. The problem occurs when there is a questionable action against those rights. How far they stand up to enforce it, to battle for the person who may be infringed upon. But yeah, it's a good debate. It's a good question, and I agree. I also respect. You know, if you choose not to, that's perfectly good choice for you can make that choice.
Right, but I will always advocate for everybody's right within reason, of course, because again, there are some people just want a free open market. We can just walk in, grab you a gun, and pay the counter. See you later.
Right.
And
yeah, that's ludicrous.
Ridiculous.
that
I mean, if you think about it, you have to be licensed to drive an automobile.
Mm-hmm.
You have to maintain insurance on this automobile in case the automobile hurts somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And which makes sense, and we all see that as common sense logic. So to say that you should be able to just walk in and buy a firearm without somebody checking, hey, what's up with this guy? Is he okay?
Right.
That's where I think the NRA goes a little too far.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. I'm of the same opinion. I have no problem personally with registration,
Right.
and I actually have no problem with the secondary additional process of the interview, and but we have to go through, say, here in New York. It's an interview, it's a process, it's the investigation, it's a whole 9 yards. But having said that, I do feel that once you pass that interview and that full background check, and it's more than just that little sheet of paper that goes to the FBI, at least here in New York, it's a full, thorough background check where they're talking to your neighbors and everything. Once having passed that, then I feel the person should be basically allowed to purchase what they want. I will say, though, I also agree that, or would agree with the stance that no one needs a fully automatic weapon.
No, there is absolutely zero civilian.
Right, you don't need. It's fun, granted, totally fun to shoot, no question. But fully automatic, no. As a civilian, you don't need that. No. And others would disagree with me, but I'll say 30-round magazine is enough. Some would say I'm crazy for going that far, but no, 30 is enough. I think it meets. Personally, I think it would meet both of the recreational sportsman guy who is out there just going to shoot just to have fun and put holes in paper, and the guy who's out there hunting, and the guy who's just going to the range once in a while. But that's just my logic.
So my question to both of you, because I don't partake in the love of guns,
and I'm going to get you to the range then.
Eventually.
But make sure he gets his safety training first.
Of course. So a question I can throw out to both of you, Ian, you take the lead on it, is Vegas 1 year later, no movement or no major laws were changed. Bump stocks are still in use.
Did you expect anything to change?
I would think after, with the loss of life that happened out there, with the amount of people that were injured out there, that our politicians would do something, anything, a bump stock, something.
Here's a question for you. When has loss of life ever meant anything in terms of the big picture? Loss of life is all really just considered collateral damage.
Well, no, it has to be loss of life where it ends up, you get into lawsuits and that type of thing. So in the motor vehicle world,
which is a financial thing. It's not the loss of life.
Right.
It's if it was a financial issue, then it'd be a problem.
Right.
But as long as it's just loss of life and has nothing to do with the money,
they can't sue anybody. Can't sue anybody over it. That's what it boils down to. You can sue an automotive company if a device fails a number of times, and then you can prove that people are losing their lives because of that failure. Then they get sued. But as you say, you have no one to sue and go back to it. Then it's a few more people.
Right. Loss of life is inconsequential in terms of business approach.
Right.
Loss of life is meaningless. And anybody thinking that something was going to happen or there's going to be some change, you just been party to the Capitol Hill 2-step. They'll dance a little bit. They'll say, you know what, we're going to look into this. We got a committee set up, and there's going to be change. There's going to be change, all right. They may change the typeset on the letter that comes out, but that's about it.
This is a full 3 months of food without needing any refrigeration or special storage. And you're looking at our long-awaited 3-month survival food kit.
We've been completely out of our 3-month kit since early 2020, just as the world turned upside down. So I wanted to make you this special video before it's gone again. And today, as part of this special inventory celebration event, we're not only bringing you a new and improved, heartier, and even more delicious 3-month survival food stockpile, we're going to load you up with an armful of free bonuses you're going to absolutely flip for, including 2 free 72-hour food kits, our Victory Garden seed collection, our popular Sun Kettle solar cooker, survival coffee and cocoa, and more. That's over $478 in free bonus gifts with your order. Incredible. But here's the catch. In 2020, just as people started waking up to being prepared, saying, hey, I better get enough food to ride out a crisis that lasts weeks or months, we sold every last 3-month kit left before we really even knew what was about to happen in this country. All our available 3-month kits were just gone. Poof. Now, when it comes to a kit like this, we pride ourselves on getting it just right. So we could have rushed to bring our 3-month survival food kits back sooner. But with demand sky high and a supply chain in chaos, it would mean limited variety or boring meals you could survive on, but you might get tired of fast. That's not going to cut it. So instead, we decided to take our time and start from scratch to make our 3-month kit bigger and better with more delicious food, more variety, and
Well, we had the song and dance in Florida, the school shooting in Florida that happened.
Yes.
And there was a town hall, and people got to talk. People got to, I don't know, vent.
Right.
It was slightly emotional, and I think that's about it.
Mhm.
So maybe it was a feel-good moment.
That's it. That's it. Were there any law changes in Florida?
None. In Parkland?
Huh?
None.
None. But they allow you allow the people to talk, you allow them to vent, and you tell them, you know what, you're right. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, and you're right. There is a problem that needs to be fixed. I agree with you, and that's it. That's where it stops.
What has to happen is, as in all situations like this, though, the people have to speak with their votes.
Yeah.
If you, and especially, and I do think we're going to see that next month.
Let's hope so.
You're at the point now where you've spoken, you've got all the information back and forth, you've got they've yakety yak and said this, that, and the other. And this goes for any topic, not just Second Amendment, not just guns. This is politics in general. If the people who are quote unquote representing you are not acting in a way which you feel is in your best interest or your beliefs, you vote them out. Well, if somehow they're in locations where the majority feels the opposite way and you lose, or people just get complacent and don't vote.
Well, it's actually partially that, but then there's also the age-old tactic of gerrymandering, where the boundary lines are pretty much drawn in order to sway the vote towards particular topics or against particular topics. Like if you just take a look at some of the districts and you look at how these districts are mapped out, it's mind-boggling.
Right. No, that's very true.
It's purposely done by both parties, mind you.
Yes.
Both parties are just as equally guilty of it because the party in power gets to draw the lines. So they can draw the lines to preserve or maintain their power. So, you may have more people that are against it, but if you split the districts up and you just get more districts, you can have less votes but still win. It's kind of sort of like how the electoral college is set up.
Right. Yeah, very true.
So you have to understand politics in the United States, especially voting in the United States, it's geared and slanted and skewed purposely.
My only comment on this topic is 7 words. This November, grab them by the polls.
You're supposed to. You're supposed to.
That's it. That's the only thing. The only thing they listen to, Ian.
Well, yeah. Well, my thing is this, and this is a very simple answer, but in order for it to actually take place, the people that are in power have to actually agree to it. You take the money out of politics,
yes,
and then you take out the temptation to be corrupted by money.
Yes.
But that'll never happen because the seating elected officials will have to agree to that. And you think they're going to burn the goose's land to golden egg?
Right.
Never agree to it.
Term limits as well. I am a firm believer in term limits. I say no politician should be able to serve in any office for more than 2 terms. And you can step up, but you can't step back.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've gotten as far as you can go, have a nice day. Go back to private sector, doing whatever you want to do. Go speak somewhere. Go be a teacher. But your political life is over.
Yeah, there's a double-edged sword to that also, where you'll constantly have new people, which is a good thing because you have new thoughts, new ideologies. But then you also constantly have new people who don't have experience. So it's kind of 6 of this, half a dozen the other. And it's I had 2 terms in the Senate. How many years is that?
12.
12 years.
12 years.
It's more than enough.
That should be enough. So by the time your second seating in, you should actually have your feet underneath you.
Right.
If you went to 3, I can accept 3 also.
All right.
You understand what I'm saying?
18 years.
You don't want to continually have 36 new people who.
Hi, Rex Moore with the Motley Fool here, and I've got 5 free stock picks for you today. And they're designed to take advantage of what might be a once-in-a-decade opportunity, and that's the rollout of lightning-fast 5G. These recommendations come from the
The 3 would be 18.
Yes, no. Ted was saying 18 years. I said it beats 36.
Yeah,
it does.
Or more as some of these folks out here.
It beats 36. Yeah. But because you can't just have new council people all the time.
No.
It takes time to get your feet wet and everything. So 2, maybe 3 terms. I would say that would be that's actually a good idea. But then again, the people who are actually in there would have to vote this in.
Right.
It's kind of like we're asking them to police themselves and to put laws in place that will curtail their BS.
Right.
And who does that? Who's going to elect? Okay, there's an old saying. They say rattlesnakes don't commit suicide. So why would they do that? It's something that has to be actually forced from the outside. But then how do you force from the outside? You have to actually elect an entire new Senate and an entire new House of Legislation and have them agree to it. And then what's the likelihood of that taking place? Because the time that it would take to do all of this, and so they know the time is on their side also, and it won't take place.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Because how do you change the Constitution? It has to be voted on by the House and the Senate, correct?
Correct.
You need a clean sweep. You need a clean sweep. That's the only way we can get this madness out of there, so that we can actually get this thing going again.
Yes.
Just before you joined, I had mentioned that this whole thing with Kavanaugh has you thinking they don't pass any laws. They do pass some laws, but there's certain things that just get caught up in, crosshairs, and there's no movement.
Right.
And
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I just got to get this out.
Go ahead.
I have one major problem with this Kavanaugh. If you, I, or another person goes to get a job someplace, and we have a allegation of sexual assault levied against us, we don't get that job.
Right.
At all.
We don't get that job.
Right.
At all.
Yep.
But do you mean to tell me that you wouldn't hire somebody to babysit your children that has a sexual assault claim against them, but you would advocate for them to be installed to a lifelong position at the highest court of our land? That is absolutely ridiculous to me. One would figure that somebody should be beyond reproach in order for this to take place. But this guy has sexual assault And and they say, well, she's a credible. It's credible. Yeah, we think it's actually credible, but we're gonna still install him
Right.
as a Supreme Court justice. So I'm like, oh, okay. They basically told us that regardless of whatever you think, we're gonna do what we want to do.
Well, it was done back in '91 with Clarence Thomas, and it just shows you how many years later, almost 30 years later, and it's the same thing.
Of course.
So I mean,
if it ain't broke, they ain't gonna fix it. It ain't broke for them.
no, it's not. It's not.
For them.
It appeases one party, and just basically, Ian, what you said was so true. Is we don't care how this is going to turn out. We're still voting. We're still voting, and we're voting a certain way, and that's
Right.
exactly what they did.
Yes.
That's exactly what they did.
I told friends that all along. I said, okay, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. It's gonna be a bunch of long-winded speeches, but at the end of the day, this guy's gonna get confirmed, and that's the end of the story. Because they can do it. That's it. And when I say they, I mean the powers that be. I don't mean they as white folks or they as black folks. I mean they as in the powers that be. Because truth be told, the upper 1%, they're not really concerned with race at all. They're not concerned with black or white. They're not concerned with that. They're concerned with economics. That's it. That's the only color they really see is green. They don't care about anything else. It's just race is a very convenient way or a convenient tool to keep the masses preoccupied with something else, and how you keep several hundred millions of people under control. You give them something else to argue about. But you know, the upper crust doesn't give a F about race. They don't care about that.
Unless it affects the dollar.
Right, exactly. I had a guy tell me, he said, yeah, well, maybe just Trump is actually doing well. The stock market is up by 20%. So I said, really? I said, are your wages up by 20%?
Did you get a 20% raise?
Yeah, I said, so what net effect does this have on you?
But that's just that people don't understand. They don't understand that
Right.
this candidate was here to appease the 1%ers.
Yes.
And is there, hey, if you have that type of money, then he's here for you.
Yeah.
As much as you want to say that this candidate is here for, the steel workers or the coal mine workers and all the above. But, I mean, it sounds good. It sounds good because you could be in the Midwest and you could say, he's definitely for me and I love him. And I'm going to the rally.
I kept my job for 6 months longer.
I kept my job for 6 months longer before it was outsourced.
Yeah.
Before it was outsourced, yeah. So I mean, it's a funny thing where a lot of people like I watch videos and you'll see like some dirt poor people in Mississippi, dirt poor white folks like, hey, you know what? We can't do this. We got the right to be as poor as we want to be. We got the right to this, right to that. I'm like, wow, this guy has 3 teeth, 2 in his mouth and 1 in his pocket, and he's talking about how great the country has been to him. And he doesn't have a 5% or a window to throw it out. But he's talking about how great the country is. Because, people, they just get revved up on these emotional stuff. Right. And matter of fact, the stupidest thing I ever heard somebody say was the guy got up there and said, yeah, we got to appeal Obamacare because it's the worst thing they ever did to this country. Mm-hmm. The guy said, well, do you have medical coverage? He said, yeah, I have the AMA. So yeah, this idiot just listening to people rev him up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to take away his medical care. And he don't even know it.
They'll find out.
It's just because people are so caught up in sound bites. Exactly. Whatever's being delivered to you by whatever the cable news that you watch, your favorite anchor tells you this, and you go running with it without taking a step or two to say, hey, let me research this. Let me write this stuff down.
But also,
let me look at this.
Let's not sugarcoat it. There's the race card is a huge factor in that as well. We all know it. You know, it's as Ted and I in some of our many conversations. I always say, once you get a couple hundred miles away from either coast, it's a different country.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
People don't understand that, and again, that's why we have the situation we have now. People don't quite get that, and I think some folks kind of get insulated, thinking that it's the whole cosmopolitan adventure everywhere. It is far from that. And you don't have to go far. You don't have to get, you don't have to go all the way down to the deep crack of Mississippi. Don't go that far. And it's a different world. It is still two countries as far as those demographics and the way things look there. And I think people kind of forget that.
Excellent point. And I don't think that point can be stressed enough to individuals that I grew up in New York City, a very, very cosmopolitan town, if you want to call it that, a very urban town, and very city. Mm-hmm. But then when you get outside of the city, you start seeing a different ideology of people.
Yes.
Like I live in Pennsylvania now, and it's totally different here than it was where I grew up in New York City. Right. Totally different. Like I remember seeing nothing but Trump Pence bumper stickers all over the place. Mm-hmm. Rallies and mobs on the corner. Yeah, vote Trump, vote Trump, vote Trump. And the funny thing is now, you drive around down here in Pennsylvania, you will narrowly see a single Trump Pence bumper sticker. Like they peeled them off. It was like, I actually did something to it. They peeled them off.
But actually, so why did they peel them off? Was it just for the moment? Was it just to make sure she didn't get in?
Exactly.
There was some of that.
That's exactly what it was. And I have this conversation with several people. They're like, well, I just could not vote for Hillary. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I said, so you mean to tell me that your vote was determined on who you didn't want in, as opposed to saying who is the better suited out of the two choices? So I'm like everything that you complained about Barack Obama being ill prepared and young and all this other stuff.
The food stamp president.
Experience and blah, blah, blah. I was like, that was a problem for the past 8 years where he had no experience and inexperience and this, that, and the third. And he's probably a Muslim and all this other stuff. Okay. So that was a problem for 8 years. Now, you mean to tell me that this guy who has run every business he's had into the ground is the guy that's going to economically stabilize our country? Like, okay, I got you. I got you. Donald Trump has one business that actually does well. That's his brand name. That's it. Yeah. Every other business he has been involved in, he's run into the ground and went bankrupt. Didn't pay people, all this other stuff. And this is a guy that you're saying is going to turn this country around financially.
Is your driver's license suspended? If you've been charged with driving on a suspended license and you don't know what to do next, we can help you.
The guy that went bankrupt 3 or 4 times, but he's going to turn this country around. How many times we have to go bankrupt before he gets it right?
Go buy a Trump steak.
Right. So it was all just one big red herring where he got elected because people were just so revved up that they didn't want Hillary in place. And the truth of the matter is Hillary shouldn't even have been the one running against him. That's a whole horse of another color.
And now I'm going to go to that horse because I'm of the opinion that had the Democrats allowed the process to take the route it was going. Mr. Sanders would have been the person going up against Mr. Trump, and Mr. Sanders would have won. You know, we know about we'll call them cheating scandals, and trying to make Hillary the one, and it totally backfired. And then there's, you know, it was almost the perfect storm, because then also
I was going to say that
the Republicans put up no one that was credible in that race. You know, it just turned into a show, and it was clear. At least I think it was clear from the beginning. Trump had no thought that he was going to win this. It was a show. It was getting his name out there. It was, you know, get himself some sound bites and be seen. And then it kind of
it was a big ego boost for him.
Yeah, it was. And it just, you know, every week we're like, no, he's still there. Every debate is like, no, he's still there. And then we have an election, and lo and behold, we all saw the look on his face when he was sitting there talking with President Obama. The look on his face was like, oh, this is a clean radio show, so I can't say it. But yes, what? Oh my God, what the heck have I got myself into here? And that's what we saw for those first. We still see it, but especially that first 6 months, saying whatever he thought he could say, doing things we clearly had no right to do, no jurisdiction to do, saying ridiculousness, actions that everyone's like,
I have friends in Europe and South America and in various areas of the world, and I periodically get emails and text messages from them. They're like, "What is going on over there?"
Right.
Because the sad part is our president now is a clear indication and a clear representation of what the rest of the world already thought of America.
Yes.
They already thought of us as pompous and egotistical and rude and crass. So now what do? We elect a president that is pompous, egotistical, rude, and crass. And what does he do? He goes to other countries and brings his pompous, egotistical, rude, and crass self. Yeah, and now it's like we are the laughing stock of the world. They look at us, they laugh. They're like, "Oh yeah, we've been down that road before." They're like, "Good luck with that."
Right.
And like case in point, the British Parliament, they got up and they said, "Well, he can come here. He can come to England, sure, but he can't speak here in Parliament. We're not gonna have that joker in here."
Mm-hmm.
And they got up and you had people on opposite sides of the English Parliament. I mean, they were bitter enemies.
And they get violent.
Yes. And one guy got up and said, "That's the first thing you ever said that way." Said. They agreed. They agreed. It was like, you know what? That guy can't come here. He's not of the ilk that we want here.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have other countries telling us that, like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, we understand that you're upset and you're angry about things, but that wasn't the way to solve the problem. That wasn't the way to solve the problem. And, it allows, Trump in office allows the people who are really rude and mean-spirited, it gives them the courage to be publicly rude and mean-spirited.
Correct.
Because some of the things some of the things that this guy does, you would spank your children for doing.
Right.
But instead of spanking him, you put him as president.
You rewarded him, yes. So let me ask you, what do you think happens in November?
In November?
Mm-hmm.
It is really, really hard to say. Because people talk a lot, and people say, "Yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to get out, we're going to support, we're going to vote." But are they? Are they going to do it? Are they going to get out there and take the time to vote? Are they going to get out there and actually look at the issues and look at the individuals who are running and say, "Hey, listen, What is your platform? What do you stand on?
Right.
Are they going to look at things in a global picture and say, hey, yeah, this guy's against something that I'm for, but it's actually better for us because these other 5 things he's actually for. Most people.
I know this much, Ian. I want to jump in here and say that any Democrat or independent that is running in November has to have their platform has to be more than I'm anti-Trump, because that didn't work.
Right.
Yes, it does.
That didn't work.
Of course, it has to be. But most people are single. So they vote based on a single thing.
That's true.
Most people vote based on a single issue, and that's it. So you can give they say, oh, hey, you know what? I'm gonna I go to the gun range and people they were so pro Trump because why? Because they wanted the NFA to repeal the law on silencers.
and that's
They
what
were like he's gonna give us the hearing impairment act, where now we can get silencers without having to go through the rigmarole and pay this
tax stamps and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. So that was their reason for voting for Trump. It had absolutely nothing to do with anything else. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're gonna vote for a guy based on this issue alone? And that's what it is.
Wow.
When people start looking at things in totality as opposed to this single issue nonsense, because here's the thing, I would gladly give up my right to bear arms if in the bigger picture it would be better for our country. If we can get people in there that will actually help the people, I'd say, you know what, I can give up a right because the big picture is the greater good is done. But nobody wants to give up anything. I mean, not a single solitary thing. You tell a guy, hey, listen, we're going to put it in place so that if you own firearms, you're going to have insurance. Well, why do I have to have insurance? I don't do this, and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to vote him out. But yeah, this guy could have been the guy that's going to turn the tide and say, hey, and the money that comes in for the insurance, we're actually going to spread back out amongst the people. Because now, when the tax dollars come in, they save tax dollars instead of giving to healthcare and all this other stuff. What do? They go buy more planes. They buy more arms. And who does that make rich? It makes rich the military industrial complex. The army and the government and the means of waging war runs this country.
That's true.
It runs this country. So they increase the military spending. For what? You decrease education so people can't be educated and can't be thinking people, but you increase the military. We need more guns. We need more bombs. We need more warplane. We need that. Okay, but we don't need to educate our people. We don't need to ensure that the working class is protected. We don't need that. We don't need health care. We don't need that. But we do need 300 more, F-35 Lightnings. We need 300 more of those, though.
Ian, man, want to thank you for joining. This was a real deep conversation. Got to have you come back, man. Or next time you're in New York, you got to come by the station.
Yes.
Well, I work in New York.
Well, on the weekend, the next time you're going to be here on the weekend, we're going to have you come by.
Ah, okay. Yeah, all right. Extend invitation. I'll gladly come by.
All right.
And I got one more question for you, Ian.
Shoot.
Favorite pistol to shoot?
Favorite pistol? That's a good question. My favorite pistol is probably one of my custom Glocks. I build custom Glocks also.
Oh, we got to talk.
Oh yeah. I got a set that I call my John Wick twins.
Oh no.
It's a Glock 17 and Glock 19. Yeah, and I got RMRs on the whole bit. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, nice.
Ted, we need to make a trip to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but favorite pistol, I mean, that's a very deep question because I love 1911.
Yep.
I got several of those.
Yeah.
I got a great Smith and Wesson competition center. I got a Kimber. I got a Springfield EMP. I got Desert Eagles. I got baby Desert Eagles. I got Glocks. I got
You're covering all the bases.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got some custom ARs I built. Yeah.
Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the